Lost at 5, found at 30. A journey of heartbreak, hope and homecoming. Picture a bustling railway station in rural India, teeming with noise and frantic energy. Amidst the chaos, a weary 5-year-old Saroo drifts off to sleep on a nearby bench. Little does he realize that a fleeting doze will catapult him on an extraordinary odyssey, separating him from his family for decades, yet ultimately guiding him home in the most astonishing way 25 years later. This is the unbelievable story of Saroo Brierley. Saroo, whose birth name was Saroo Munshi Khan, was born into poverty in Khandwa in the central region of India in 1981. Life was arduous for his mother, Kamla, who toiled in construction and could barely feed her children. When Saroo's father took a second wife and abandoned them, the family plunged into destitution. Saroo and his older brothers resorted to begging for food. Yet, in the midst of this hardship, they forged an unbreakable bond, nurtured by love and strengthened by their shared resolve to support each other. One fateful evening, Saroo persuaded his beloved brother, Gudju, to let him tag along. Together, they embarked on a short train journey to nearby Burhanpur. Upon arriving in Burhanpur, the exhausted 5-year-old dozed on a bench, while Gudju stepped away for a moment. A sudden jolt of terror seizes Saroo as he wakes up, only to discover his brother has vanished. Imagine being 5 years old in a bustling Indian train station. A sea of unfamiliar faces rushes past. The hum of train engines echoes all around. Suddenly, your brother is gone, nowhere to be seen, and in the frantic search to find him, you step onto a train you believe will bring you home. Instead, it whisks you 1,000 kilometers away, far from everything you've ever known. Imagine the heartbeat of a lost child pounding in sheer desperation. Little Saroo, barely tall enough to reach the train windows, clutches at strangers' hands, hoping they might help. He calls out for his brother, his only guiding star in a sudden darkness. But the train starts moving. The doors slide shut. His voice is drowned out by the roar of the locomotive. In a single heartbreaking moment, Saroo's life veers off track. Unaware of his destination, he's carried away into the night, farther and farther from the family he adores. Now thrust into a colossal city, Kolkata, Saroo finds himself lost among millions. The streets seem endless, the faces unfamiliar. He's hungry, terrified, and unable to speak the local language. Can you feel his confusion? It's like waking from a nightmare, only to realize the nightmare is real. Days blur into nights. The only hope for this child is the faint memory of home, a place he cannot describe nor pinpoint on a map. Vulnerable and alone, he almost gets ensnared by unscrupulous individuals, but his instincts lead him to flee. Eventually, a teenager guides him to the police, who place him in a government center for abandoned children. Saroo's life will never be the same. Just when all seems lost, destiny intervenes. An Australian couple, guided by compassion, opens their hearts and home to Saroo. Suddenly, this little boy finds himself in a land brimming with opportunity, oceans away from the poverty he once knew. Can you sense the stark contrast? On one hand, he's safe, cherished, and given every chance to thrive. On the other, he carries a quiet ache, a longing to find his birth family and discover where he truly belongs. The mystery of his past continues to tug at him, refusing to fade away. Where was his birth mother? What happened to Gudju? These questions haunt him, fueling an unrelenting quest to reclaim his roots. The longing to reconnect with his roots becomes the silent drumbeat underscoring his every waking moment. As Saroo grows, fragments of his early life begin to resurface. A train station's echo, the texture of dusty roads, the aroma of spicy street food, chaotic symphony of hawking rickshaws, rhythmic calls of street vendors. Rows of vibrant spice pyramids and vegetable markets with crisp greens and seasonal hues, which are a visual treat. Tiny puzzle pieces of a place he can barely name, and yet the memory refuses to fade. Can you imagine the turmoil? On the outside, Saroo is like any other Australian kid, playing sports and attending school. But in the quiet corners of his mind, an unrelenting voice whispers, "Find where you came from." With each passing year, that whisper becomes more resolute, more insistent, more urgent. In the early 2000s, technology soared, unveiling fresh ways to explore the globe. Enter Google Earth, a digital window that Saroo seized like a detective's magnifying glass. Hour after painstaking hour, he zooms into maps of India, retracing railways, analyzing stations, searching for the faintest flicker of recognition. Some nights, he stares so long his eyes burn, yet determination pushes him onward. Doubt lurks, but hope triumphs. With every click, he's closer to bridging a gulf carved by time and distance. Imagine scouring an entire subcontinent in a digital landscape. The scale is staggering. Thousands upon thousands of train stations, countless roads and villages. Yet Saroo's heart remembers. He recalls the layout of a specific station, a certain bend in the tracks. A water tower, he meticulously scours Google Earth, tracing countless railway lines from Kolkata's Howrah station. At last, he zeroes in on a place called Burhanpur. From there, he follows the tracks north, matching each landmark to his fragmented memories. This leads him to Khandwa, his place of origin. Can you feel the surge of anticipation coursing through Saroo? Having pinpointed his hometown, he boards a flight to India, returning not as a fearful child, but as a man on a mission. Stepping onto sun-baked roads, he's overwhelmed by wonder and nostalgia. Ghostly echoes of his childhood guide him. That corner, this alley, the color of a certain building. It's as though his memories are coming to life all at once. Each step is a heartbeat pounding with an emotion no words can fully express. In a humble neighborhood on the outskirts of a remote town, Saroo's journey reaches its climax. A woman stands in the doorway, her eyes weary from years of longing, her face etched with hope. She locks eyes with the son she lost decades ago. Time seems to stand still. The torrent of emotion when they finally embrace is indescribable. The pent-up emotions of loss and longing from the past 25 years erupt like wild ocean waves, only to eventually settle and give way to joy, gratitude, love, and relief. For Saroo's mum, it's as though a piece of her own heart has finally returned home. Saroo discovered that his mother had scoured countless train stations, resolute that her missing boy would find his way back. At long last, her faith was rewarded. Saroo was also reunited with his older brother, Kalu, and his sister, Shakila. And through heartfelt conversations, they helped him rediscover fragments of his lost childhood. In that poignant moment, the tragic news about his brother Guddu emerged, that he had been struck and killed by a train on the very night they were separated. Though shaken by this revelation, Saroo found immense strength in the comforting embrace of his family, which offered him a chance at closure after years of heartache. United in their shared sorrow, they forged an unbreakable bond that transcended the long years of separation. Saroo now continues to live in Australia, yet he remains deeply connected with his Indian family by visiting them frequently. Saroo's extraordinary journey touched hearts worldwide. He shared his compelling narrative in the autobiography, A Long Way Home, which was later adapted into the critically acclaimed film Lion. Nominated for 6 Academy Awards, Lion highlighted not just Saroo's personal perseverance, but the universal truth of hope triumphing over despair.
That concludes our story. Now let's explore the meaning of a few words from the story to enrich our vocabulary. Teeming means overflowing or swarming with something, as seen in the train station where Saroo found himself. bursting with noise and frenetic energy. Fleeting means lasting only a very brief moment, much like the short dose Saroo took on a bench that changed the course of his life. Catapult means to launch or propel suddenly and forcefully, just as Saroo's fateful decision to board the wrong train propelled him into an extraordinary journey. Odyssey refers to a long, adventurous journey, aptly describing Saroo's journey from a humble Indian village across vast oceans and then finally back home to reunite with his family. Frantic means wildly agitated or desperate, as shown by Saroo's hurried, panicked search amid the overwhelming chaos of the station. Ceaseless means unending or continuous, as demonstrated by the constant hum of train engines that filled the air without pause. Deafening describes a sound so overpowering that it silences all others, like the roaring locomotive that completely drowned out Saroo's cries. Relentless means persistent and unyielding, much like the unstoppable determination that drove Saroo forward despite huge odds. Overwhelmed means completely overcome by intense emotion or force, just as Saroo experienced was when he finally returned home after 25 long years. Destitution means extreme poverty or severe deprivation, as experienced by Saroo's family when they were plunged into utter hardship. Thank you for watching. For more stories like these, be sure to like, follow and subscribe.